Hello, Justice Warriors. Who's here? How are you? So I promised I would try to come back without more wardrobe malfunctions. Let's see how this goes. Um, this is why I wear black a lot, you guys. Oh my goodness. Anyway, let's just talk about the cases. So thanks for being here. Once you get here, please hit your like button if you'd be so kind. And don't forget to share, subscribe, and ring your notification bell. Um, so yeah, let's just jump right into it. Straighten out my necklaces, straighten out the camera a little bit. Um, I got my iced tea, I got my water, I'm good to go. I got nobody with me. I'm so lonely. Come, come, squirrels, come, Dana and Rex. Yay, good afternoon, you're back. And yeah, after not having all of my coffee this morning, I usually switch over to tea if I need more caffeine in the afternoon. I will go ahead, start highlighting. So yeah, I just want to follow up with you guys from this morning. If you saw the half hour live, roughly half hour that I did talking about Bohemian Grove. Sooner Girl, hello. Pixie Knickers, hello. Painting and listening, Mark Molina, back. Yeah. Um, I would like to throw you a wrench, Mark. Are you okay with that? I'm going to go ahead and do it. And if you're not okay with it, tell me and I will undo it. So I've never done that, like live, ask somebody to be a mod, but good. Sure. Thank you. Because I just went ahead and did it. Like I said, I could always undo it. But how come it's not taking? Let me make sure that it worked. Uh, um, Yeah, you're a moderator. You should have a blue wrench. Anyway, like I said, YouTube always has hiccups, right? So, I had a little hiccup in my video from this morning that I said that the meeting that Kevin McCarthy was wearing the blue shirt with the Bohemian Grove emblem on it. I said that that was September 7th, and it was September 2nd. I re-listened to Brush Chunky and making sure that I had some of her facts straight. So somehow the first time I listened to it, I heard second as seventh. Um, now you're blue. So the other thing that I wanted to mention about that is exactly the blue. So in that um, conference, that press conference about the fires, not only is he wearing a royal blue shirt, but his banner as being the Speaker of the House is also royal blue. I'm looking for my other notebook. Of course, I only have one, but that's all right. Um, and he's a Republican. So I'm just like curious, like, why is he doing the royal blue thing when red is the color for Republicans, right? Typically. Um, so anyway, I try to stay out of the politics. I try to just focus on the true crime. Um, so let's just dive right into Kylie Rodney, Bohemian Grove, and Maui, Bohemian Grove. I don't know. Um, so the Bohemian Grove, as I understand it, is slightly south and it's west of Santa Rosa. And it is like out in the woods in the redwoods, and it's kind of like a camp, and it's been going on for decades, and it is a secret society. It's something that you're only invited into if you are one of the wealthy elite and like a very powerful, influential type of person. So Kevin McCarthy was recently inducted into Bohemian Grove, is my understanding. Um, and there was a lot of talk about the Bohemian Grove in the Kylie Rodney case, wondering basically if there was something going on over there, kind of equating it to a gentleman's club, you guys. I don't like to talk about these things, but they're real and they exist. I mean, gentlemen clubs are everywhere. and Bohemian Grove, that's apparently what it is it's for men only and like a bachelor party or a frat house kind of thing. It's gross. I hate that crap. Don't you hate that, Mark? It makes people like you look possibly bad. So I don't know if you have a typo, Monique Cole, with the Maury fire. It's supposed to be Maui, probably. Gross indulging sickos. Right. Absolutely disgusting. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of those ultra rich elites in Hawaii. There's a lot of those ultra rich elites that hang out in Tahoe. Um, and it's just weird that he's wearing that shirt with that emblem and that, you know, maybe it's just that he wore that shirt with that emblem and it doesn't have any meaning, but it seems to me that with these secret societies that they do these weird things with these secret messages, and then if you point it out, they go, "Oh no, you're just a whack job conspiracy theorist," right? So that's the problem with gaslighters is they'll just keep on gaslighting you and then gaslight you some more. Um, so you can't call them out. You basically just have to kind of roll with it, unless you don't mind looking a little nutty, especially if you're incorrect. And I think it's wise to always keep an open mind that when it looks like there's um, things going on, that looks can be deceiving. So that's why I feel like it's important to try to phrase things as questions rather than statements, or qualify it with something like, to my understanding, to the best of my knowledge, from what I know, from what I've been told, because we don't know. And a lot of times, like this morning saying September 7th when it was September 2nd, I would have sworn to you that it was September 7th in this morning's live. If somebody in the chat would have said, "No, I think it was the 2nd." I would have been like, "No, I just listened to Brush Junkie." Again, unless she's incorrect, which we can all be incorrect at times. So I just misheard her. And it's funny how easy it is to mishear on these devices. Um, this morning I did my cute little movie set thing. And so I guess there's a noise canceller so that you don't hear it at all, right? I mean, even if I tap it lightly, you don't hear it, but it has like a really satisfying whack. But when I watch the video, it's completely dead silent, like, which is so unsatisfying. You get to see it, but not hear it. And I feel it when I do it, and I can hear it. But anyway, I digress. So I wanted to qualify too what I was saying about the Moscow case because I did finally have a chance to watch that entire thing. Let me see if I can make the lighting a little bit better. It seemed like it was too much red. Um, Not enough red now. So annoying. Seriously, let me see if I do the red over here, if that's any better. Um, and again, it seems like it's just too much right now in this lighting. It's important to have the green and the red. Again, not your problem. And if that's my biggest problem today, I'm super lucky. So Monique says it was a typo. Yeah, so Maui fire. I'm glad that I asked though, because like in today's earlier live, someone typed in Karen McCarthy and I thought it was a typo or spell checker. And, she was calling Kevin McCarthy a Karen. So the matrix is real. Each individual chooses their reality based on each choice made. Honestly, I don't know the movie that well. I've just kind of seen bits and pieces of it. So like, what is it, like the red pill or the blue pill or something like that? Sorry. I mean, I do like Keanu Reeves, but not as much as a lot of people. I was a big River Phoenix fan. Anyway, off track. Back to the point. Talking about the Moscow, okay? James Fry reiterated so many times about how Kaylee and Madison were getting a lot of attention paid to them at the Corner Club bar that night. And it seemed to me that he was trying to preemptively strike and make it seem as though anybody watching them or talking to them would be kinda let off the hook because he kept saying that, like, "Oh, they just had so much attention paid to them." And we haven't seen video footage from the corner club, which is funny because funny, not funny. Obviously, they have the surveillance cameras there. We've all seen what looks like a photograph taken of this still shot with, what looks like James Fry at the back door next to Adam and Hoodie Guy. And then you got Jack D sitting and talking to Kaylee and Madison just a few feet away. And I think it's time stamped like 1:32, and they may have um, been so savagely attacked within a couple of hours or so. Um, within 3 hours for sure, allegedly. I mean, we really don't know the time frame. We really don't. I mean, it could be even wider than that on either end, um, as early as 2, as late in the morning, um, maybe 8 o'clock. I don't know. But anyway, we're told in the PCA that it happened between 4 and 4:25, and I don't believe that. I don't think that that's true and accurate. Um, I think it happened earlier. I think it happened between 3 and 4, which is what the police had been saying all along. It wasn't until the PCA, and then they had the whole 4 o'clock thing. Anyway, so, somebody took a photograph with their cell phone probably of the surveillance footage and released that, I think, on December 27th. And I think that it was like within, like right away, there were people who were pointing out that that looked like Jack talking to the girls. And I was thinking, there's no way that that's Jack. You're hallucinating. I didn't think it looked like him, but it is him. It's been confirmed by Kaylee's family many, many times. Um, but somebody leaked that photograph out, like, they wanted us to see that, and that was the 27th, and most of us probably didn't see it until the 28th, and then the 29th, I think, was when they arrested him, like, late the 29th, like 1:30 in the morning on the 30th, um, or then they extradited him to Idaho probably after the weekend because I think that was a Friday night. Um, anyway, it was pretty interesting how once that screenshot was leaked, that then they arrested somebody else that wasn't in the picture, right? Um, but like I was saying this morning in the short live, there's a lot of attention being paid to both of those girls at the Grub Truck too, in my opinion. And I think that it's quite possible that people knew, like, obviously, Hoodie Guy knew what if that dialogue is, authentic and genuine and legit, um, Hoodie Guy knew what Madison and Kaylee were talking about when allegedly Kaylee said, "Madison, Maddie, what did you say to Atom?" And Maddie says, "I told Atom everything." And I gotta tell you, it wasn't until this morning thinking about that that I thought, I'm not 100% sure what Kaylee sounds like. I mean, I know that there's video footage that I've seen of her, like the one where they're all pretending to be each other, but I don't think that that sounds like her voice on that security surveillance footage outside when they're walking with Hoodie Guy. But my point was that Hoodie Guy knew what they were talking about. If that's an accurate, true, authentic, genuine, legit conversation, and I really question it. I try to question everything. I questioned the white Hyundai immediately. Um, Immediately, I thought that it was a red herring, and then it seemed like it was panning out into something. And then today, I'm like back to thinking, well, maybe it was a red herring, right? I mean, it was just so much shenanigans, and as if they're going to need the graveyard employee at the A&W root beer to help them find that when They're police. It's a small town. Everybody's got cameras. They know that they have cameras. They know that they have traffic cameras. They know that they have people's Ring doorbell cameras. They know that they've got business cameras. So why were so many people watching those girls? And my theory that I strung all three of my cases together with this morning is that I suspect in all three of these cases that these were possibly allegedly planned events. Um, that, stuff had been going on with Moscow, with the people that lived at 1122 King Road, and that there are many people that were aware of what was going on. And I still think that Emma and Demetrius are completely involved in all that. And then, all of this talk about people that suspect that there could be substances involved, and then people who are just like, no way, there's not substances involved. It's not a judgmental thing. It's not trying to throw shade at anyone. It's that typically in situations like this with crazy crimes, there's substances involved. And we do know for a fact that we have two of the victims' parents that have been busted by the police for substance possession and intent to distribute and that kind of thing. Um, Things happen, it's just how you react to the things around you. I always like to say it's not the things that happen that define who you are or define a relationship. It's how you respond to those things that defines your character or defines the character of a friendship or a romantic um, connection. So when you have conflicts, you're always going to have conflicts, but how you face those conflicts, how you resolve those conflicts is what's important and what really makes us who we are and can help make us better people if we respond in a healthy way. Please look at that Riddle YouTube about Tesla's laser US Navy testing. Um, Riddle YouTube. So you guys know my son joined the Navy. I can't talk about it much because, that's the way those things go. But I did tell you his response to finding out about the Lahaina fires that he actually did find out while he was in boot camp, which, they barely got any news at all. They got like three pieces of news, and that was one of them. And he shared with me that his response and pretty much everybody's response was that it sounded sus. So, yeah, I'm not I'm not familiar with that video in particular, a riddle video, but I am familiar with some of the lasers that were around the area the last 6 months that are caught on videotape and still shots, and just the whole thing with the direct energy weapons. It seems very realistic that it could have been the direct energy weapons that started those fires or started some of those fires. And, was it the governor that was like, oh, well, as soon as people start talking about lasers, then they've gone off the deep end. And it's just like, yeah, the theory isn't that the lasers started the fire. The theory is that the lasers were measuring so that they would know where to program the direct energy weapons to, right? So, I mean, I'm not into those logistics and tactical things, but I've learned a little bit. I've never heard of the direct energy weapon before this, but they're real and it's what they do. So, yeah. Hey, Rusty. Definitely look. Thanks. That's what I was trying to say to you. Took the words right out of my mouth. Morning Justice. I love that glass you were drinking out of. And hey, I'm a subscriber since her first show. Oh, you were awesome. DEW, natural fires don't melt cars, buildings, or jump around and damage ships. They do jump around, in my experience. And when I lived in Malibu, California, there were really bad wildfires every year that came in the fall with the Santa Ana winds, some worse than others. And they definitely jump around. So that's the one thing that I do know, Mark. But it can be really bizarre where it's like one thing is completely black and the thing right next to it is untouched. So um it does look suspicious when you see it in real life with a real forest fire. You're just like, how did that happen? And sometimes it is because somebody's standing on their roof with their hose watering down their house. Like people literally save their houses like that, but people also literally um, sometimes perish trying to save their house like that. So I know that there were people in the Lahaina fires that were trying that had to get you know, directed to get out of there by some of the firefighters that were doing their jobs. This was 6 days ago. Oh, the Riddler thing or the Riddle YouTube about Tesla laser US Navy. I'll check it out. They jump. Wow, thought they follow burn material. Well, they pretty much follow burn material, but then, the wind can make it jump, and then of course the embers can make it jump. So, yeah, I wouldn't know that had I not been around them in just in Southern California. I don't think I've been around forest fires in other places. I mean, they happen everywhere, especially lately, right? Um, so I do have a firefighter, an active firefighter in my family. So he's done controlled burns and I can consult with him about fires. Um, One of the things with the Lahaina fires that is really suspicious is trees burning because trees are mostly water. So trees don't burn. So it's depending on how dry the tree is, depending on what kind of tree it is, it's my understanding that the palm trees do burn really easily, that they are very dry. And there's a lot of palm trees in Lahaina that didn't get burned, but everything around them got burned. So that seems suspicious. But there's so much that's so suspicious about the Maui fire. And then even more so than the actual fire itself being suspicious, the aftermath. Again, it's not so much the the crisis that defines the suspicion, it's all the aftermath, right? It's the blocking off streets, it's the denial of the blocking off streets, it's I don't know who was supposed to be in charge. Yeah, I didn't know that the power lines were de-energized. I mean, that stuff is crazy. It's their job to know this stuff. So they need to be investigated. In my opinion, they need to be sued. And the language I know in lawsuits is that these people, like the mayor, the governor, the police chief, they knew or should have known it was their job to know who was in charge. We've already had those 2 people just walk off the job, the person who didn't sound the alarm, but why didn't other people sound the alarm? And then the housing authority, woman whose name is similar to, like, Nan, something like that. Um, so yeah. Um, so again, in the Moscow case, how did the Gonzalez family get notification that their daughter was deceased by law enforcement coming to their door at about 4 in the afternoon if the coroner hadn't seen anything yet? Allegedly, in the video or the movie or the documentary from 48 Hours that everybody was watching over the weekend that I finally got to see the rest of last night, um, the Gonzalez family says that they were notified in person. Somebody came to their door at 4 p.m. And it's my understanding with law enforcement that they're not going to do that until a coroner confirms 100%. Like that is pretty early in the game considering, I mean, they live 100 miles away from where it happened, so obviously I don't think anybody's gonna be traveling that 100 miles to notify them that they would, coordinate with local law enforcement. But it's my understanding that the coroner they would wait until then, until the coroner gets to lay eyes on these people. So, we also know that they were getting information socially through, like, word of mouth at, like, 10 in the morning, like, before 911 was even called. So that's crazy. And also just the whole 4 o'clock magic number is crazy. Um, the lead detective didn't show up till 4. The Gonzalez family found out at 4. Oh, another thing about it is that they said in that interview that they asked the law enforcement that was at their house at 4 on that Sunday, um, notifying them, they asked if Madison Mogan was one of the victims, and they confirmed that she was. And that seems so strange to me that like, that's not appropriate. That's not appropriate for a law enforcement to, like, that's, like, kind of a no-brainer. Like, what? That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Where are the children of the island? Monique, um, that question has been asked so many times, and it is upsetting, very upsetting, that it's not being answered. And then it makes people that keep asking it seem like they're nuts, right? I mean, honestly. Um, and a lot of these children probably perished. The major concern is that if they didn't perish and they were abducted by not aliens, but bad guys, and those things happen. Like, to pretend that that's a conspiracy is ridiculous, unless, of course, it was part of a coordinated effort to do that. But even just one child getting abducted in an emergency crisis situation like that, that can happen. Was it found to be true that some children were found in cages with pee pads? I have not ever heard that, Monique. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty out there. I think I would have heard that because I've been trying to keep up with all that stuff. Where do you know where you heard that? Um, so my response to that is not true, but I could be wrong. I mean, um, you know, I was wrong about the person at the bar talking to Kaylee and Madison being not being Jack D. I really didn't think that was Jack D. About 50 children. But is this from Hawaii or is this like by the border or something? I don't know. Um, but I stand firm in that I have a very strong suspicion that the number of fire fatalities in Lahaina was much closer to a couple of thousand than the number that they're kicking around that's under 100. I think they're being very deliberate in trying to back off having accomplished that title of the worst fire in modern American history, the biggest, largest number of casualties. And the reason why there used to be large fires, not that uncommonly, like in the early 1900s. I've looked all this stuff up. Lots of fires that were like 2 and 300 people in varying states. And, we have technology and we have training and we have cell phones, we have communication, we have more access to water, we have, actual fire departments. Um, that doesn't happen in American on American soil. It just doesn't happen. That one fire that was under 100, barely, um, at the nightclub in Rhode Island, with the pyrotechnics, that was a huge tragedy, and there were a couple hundred injured, and I think about 96 that passed away. And that was just terrible. I mean, they had a lot of doors that were locked, And, it's just like you have to have fire exits. So there's laws in place to protect communities from having tragedies like that. Um, so yeah, the bad guys, damn them. I mean, there's a lot of bad guys. I mean, what are you gonna do? Thugs, perps, somebody unalived the four in Moscow. Somebody's were involved in covering up what happened to Kylie Rodney. Um, I think that the people that are more concerned about their own jobs and less concerned about the people that perished and the people who are mourning those who perished and the people who lost everything they own. In my eyes, those are all like really, really bad guys. So, yeah, it's awful. I wanted to talk a little bit too with you guys about the Gits. I was able to rewatch one of the documentaries about Mia Zapata last night, actually, and I was just tired last night and was just kind of chilling, doing my couch potato thing that I hardly ever get to do. I was trying to get to do more steam cleaning. I'm gonna have to do it tonight. But gave myself a break, caught up with the rest of that 48 hours, caught up with reviewing the Gits and um, what is the movie called that I watched? I think it's just called The Gits, and it's very well done. Um, I don't think that I don't think it was a random act of violence. I don't think that that guy, Jesus Mesquia, I forget how you say his name. I really don't like to say his name. But it's like Mezsquia, something like that. Mazika. Um, it's a Latin American name. I think he was Cuban. He came over from Cuba. He was 39 when he did it. It doesn't say any of this in the documentary, but this is information that I know from all of the people that I know that knew her well. That he was sent to America, to Florida, on a ship from Cuba after being incarcerated for being a um, criminally insane, for being a very dangerous person. And they like, was it Castro who just like sent a boatload of them to Florida? Like literally, he was on that boat, this Jesus guy. So eventually he made his way to Seattle. He was 39. He took me his life in 93. But what I didn't realize until watching this particular documentary, if it's accurate, and it easily could be, this whole time since it got solved 10 years after 93, I always thought that he had done the stealing of a car and got his DNA, cross state lines. So, Grand Theft Auto put his DNA in the data bank, and then there was a match from his saliva from the incident. Um, 10 years later. And actually, it was kind of done differently. He, sometime in those 10 years, had his DNA put into the data bank because of a Grand Theft Auto situation. And then it was the Seattle Police Department 10 years down the road who, I don't know if they'd already tried to match his DNA before, or if maybe the technology was just then available, that they said, well, let's put that saliva in the data bank and see if there's a hit. And there was. And they went and arrested that guy and extradited him from Florida to Seattle, and it made so many people happy to finally have answers and to get justice for him. I was also incorrect that he did actually have a jury trial, but he didn't want the jury to sentence him. So the sentencing was done by the judge. And then he tried to appeal the sentence because she gave him the maximum that she could. under the law, which was 26 years, and then she threw in an extra bonus 10 for him being so seriously deranged and disgusting. And that was the grounds that he tried to appeal the 36 years. So all this time, even though I was actually present, I was literally in the room sitting right behind him in the sentencing hearing. I always misheard it and was completely freaked out thinking that he got that 16 years was the maximum she could give him and that it was 26 years altogether. So I had just misheard that it was the 26 years plus the 10 as far as I know anyway. I mean, I've seen it enough in enough different places that I think I just interpreted it wrong, and all of these decades later, it took me that long to realize that I misunderstood, and that's why it's so important for me to always qualify what I think I know, because I was, like, sure of that. I thought the newspaper articles were incorrect, but there's been a lot of documentaries about, the Gits and about Mia Zapata, and she's gotten a lot of accolades even posthumously. She's been written up as, like, the best female punk rock star ever, and she was pretty good. I mean, it's not my style of music, I like some, but not that much. I'm not that much into the whole punk thing. Um, I mean, I wouldn't consider like Violent Femmes punk, but I like a lot of alternative music that some people might put into the punk rock category, like 311. Um, oh man, there's a lot of good bands, but anyway, we won't go down that rabbit hole. Um, the Gits was completely hardcore punk rock. And like I said, I've gotten into some of that, but not that much. And I appreciate their music simply because of the numbers of people that I was close to that were close to them. I'd been with Mia. I sang with her one time in a voice class actually, but I'd only been in her company twice. But I'd been to the what they call the Rat House on Capitol Hill, where the Gits lived and where a lot of other bands played and practiced and got their start. So it was interesting watching that movie and remembering like, oh yeah, I've been there, I've been to the Rat House. Because I don't think of her as a friend of mine. She was a friend of my friends. Um, and so I cared a great deal about what had happened, um, like I would anybody. But I that was my connection. It was kind of a secondhand connection. And it wasn't until watching that video, that movie last night, because I don't think I'd ever seen that specific documentary. There's been handfuls done. Um, that I was like, wow, I actually sang with her and had never really thought about it because, that was actually literally the first time I met her. So a friend of mine was in the music class and he brought her and he thought that she and I would just like really hit it off and love each other and were fine meeting each other, but we didn't have that same spark that he had and that so many people had with Mia. And she was so cute and conservative looking. I had no idea that she was into punk sing, that the Gits were a punk rock band or that she was a punk rock singer because she's one of those musicians who was probably classically trained and could do any type of music. So, she was way beyond my level of expertise. And it was just interesting to meet her and to see her sing, and my friend Andrew was like, "Oh, isn't she a great singer?" And I was like, "Yeah, she's a great singer." And he was just like, "Oh, I think you guys will just love each other. You need to get to know each other better." And we never did. I ran into her one time on Capitol Hill through some other mutual friends. But the music class, the voice class was at Evergreen State College where I went and my friend Andrew went. So anyway, that was the indirect connection. So I wanted to clarify some of the facts that I had gotten wrong in you know, my gathering of the information over the many, many years. So it was awful what happened to her, and it was great that the justice was had. and it doesn't change anything. Like, so many people get so disappointed with that process that once they have justice and they realize that they're still just as devastated. So, um, I also didn't know until watching this particular documentary last night that her mother, I don't think, went to Seattle for any of the court things. And I think I wrote it down in this one that she just couldn't relive the experience. And she didn't want to have a face with this evil act that happened. Um, oh, I loved what one of the detectives said about when they caught him. He said he was the type of person that when he walked in the room, the temperature would literally drop 10 degrees. And I've witnessed that with him in person. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation like that, but there are literally people that are that freaking chilling that the back of the hair on the back of your neck will stand up and you'll feel cold. Like literally, like you can have like that visceral reaction to their presence when they are so freaking creepy. And that was my point with bringing up Jesus to begin with, is that Mr. G makes it very clear again and again and again that when he first saw the criminal defendant who's accused of the quadruple homicide, he couldn't wrap his mind around this little punk being that person. And, I think it's important to take him at his word and, you know, just understand that his visceral experience to seeing the person that allegedly took his sweet baby's life and existence off the planet, that his visceral experience of coming into contact with him was pretty much nothing. So to me, that speaks volumes because trust your gut. We know what we know. And it just really makes me think that there was a lot of information fed to the families that convinced them that they had the right guy. And I don't think it adds up. I just really don't think it adds up with, you know, all of the points that we've belabored again and again. So I don't really want to belabor all those points. But I just think that like one of the biggest issues right now is, are they going to allow cameras in the court or not? And I personally really hope that they do. I think it's very interesting that both sides want there to not be cameras. I think that there should be cameras. um I understand, like, my opinion is that the defense doesn't want them for good reason, because we all hyper focus on Koberger's clenched jaw or his glance or his smile or whatever it is. We like freak out. Like, did you see that? Like, what do you think that means? He blinked. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And my suspicion is that the prosecution doesn't want the cameras in there because they have a crazy piece of crap case. Um, and that they're gonna be a joke trying to put this thing together, trying to do this like dog and pony show basically, which they probably can pull off because like all of these people, it seems like all the lawyers, the judge, president of the university, police chief, the parents of the kids, they are all University of Idaho alumni, you guys. It's freaking crazy. It's like the most condensed population of a university alumni I've ever seen in my life, and I've been around a lot of different, educational, institutions, so there's some kinda loyalty with that university that is just unbelievable, And again, I also want to point out to people because it's been a long time since I've said it, and I think it has a lot of relevancy that Pullman, that the Wazoo, Washington State University, is not anything like the University of Idaho. University of Idaho is like small, a lot smaller and a lot more prestigious. Wazoo is a good football school, and that's what they're known for. It's called the Zoo for a reason. And the people of Moscow and alumni from there really look down their noses, in my opinion, at the people over there in Pullman. So I just think it's important to keep that in mind because Koberger went to school in Pullman. Um, Emma and Demetris mostly hang out in Pullman, and Jasmine Kernodle goes to school there, and her mother, Cara Kernodle, also I think lived there. So there's a lot of snobbery. I'm just gonna say it because, like I said, I think it's relevant. Um, anyway, let me see what you guys are saying. You guys have been kind of quiet over here. On the Hawaii news, it was a SEAL team. I've seen some of the Hawaii news stuff. Yeah, there's more officials, another big wig official in Hawaii that just resigned, I think. But it has nothing to do with Maui, but it's still interesting, the timing. The SEAL team found them on a dock. Oh my goodness. Thank you for the follow-up, Monique. That's wild. A dock in on Maui or a dock on a different island? Okay, let's hear you sing. Go. I can't sing right now because I need to be standing up and I also need to be ready. My voice is a little hoarse actually. Um, but you can hear me sing if you look at videos that I did on the 4th of July. I did a Joni Mitchell song and a Red Hot Chili Pepper song, both a cappella. They're not my best performances because I was sitting down. And you really do need to be standing up to sing, and I just didn't. So the next time I do anything like that for my YouTube channel, I will definitely do it standing up because it makes a huge difference. Absolutely. Just dropped in for a minute, but truth for Kylie, justice for Kylie, truth for them all. Yes, harsh one, Shelley, true crime in nature. Absolutely. Um, so thanks for stopping in here. And thank you to everyone. And thank you to Mark for catching that wrench when I threw it at you. Um, I put the side by side pictures on my community post. Oh, thank you. So you're referring to what you said yesterday about Zanime and Bethany. So Zanime from Kylie Rodney's case, and then Bethany Frank, or sorry, Bethany Funk from Moscow. And she made the comment that they looked, I don't know, are you saying that you think that they could be the same person or just that they could be related? I'm not sure which you were implying. I wasn't clear about that. If you want to share, and we are getting close to an hour, so we do need to think about wrapping up. And yeah, I had said in my earlier video that I bought two of these. I just bought them. They are hand blown, and I absolutely love them. And I mentioned, like, hey, I could do a giveaway of one of them so that anybody who's eyeing my glass is like, ooh, yeah. But I don't know if I want to do that with something, random like a glass. I kind of think I should stick with things that I've made myself. So, like the jewelry. I was talking earlier too about doing giveaways with artwork that is like I have such an abundance of fantastic artwork, and I don't think I'd be wanting to give away original stuff, but more like prints and stuff like that. Um, but I had mentioned home decor because I have a lot of cool home decor, like way more than I need, and I had thought about that. But for the time being, I think sticking with things that I made. So probably in the next, like early next week, I'll be doing a giveaway with a pair of earrings and a necklace, but I'm going to give them away separately. This first time around, I gave them away together. So there'll be 2 winners, and probably what I'll do is similar to how I did it the last time. The last time, which was the first time, I said the first person to comment once the live is over will win. And I think this next time I'll do probably like the second and third people to comment will win. And if it's like 2 comments by the same person, that'll just count as 1 person. So it won't do you any good to keep commenting trying to win. I mean, you're welcome to keep commenting for other reasons, but, if it's the same as somebody who already commented, I'll count that as 1 person. So yeah, look for that. I'll try to take pictures of the pieces that I decide on and put them on a community post so then you guys will know. And, it's just a fun thing. I was even thinking, it might some people just really like money. It might be fun to do like a gift card giveaway, like 50 bucks or something like that, something worth your while. I know I like money. So, I mean, money's just always good because then you can do anything you want with it. Like if you need it for, your gas tank, you can do that. If you want to just buy yourself something special, you can do that. If you want to regift it, you can do that too. So I'll probably do some cash prizes just to really spice it up and make it fun. Or not cash, but like a Visa gift card kind of thing. Um, let's see. I just put them next to each other and I was WTAF, what the actual F, and I don't think they're the same person, just look like they could be related. And, it's just like Zanime and her niece Elsa in the Kylie Rodney case. I mean, she was from Ukraine and she had her whole thing with helping her family escape from the Ukraine war. She was on the news and she was like all goody two shoes, like, oh, I'm so great. I'm helping all these people. And then she was such a villain in the Kylie Rodney story. Um, these people are just like mega villains, in my opinion. Like if some of the individuals are superheroes and some of them are like the super villains. In my opinion, the survivors of both incidences in Truckee and in Moscow, the people who were there who didn't see anything, those people are villains as far as I'm concerned because they're hiding stuff, just straight up. And yeah, then you're an accomplice. Whether you're an accomplice before, during, or after the fact, you're an accomplice. If you know something, say something. It's the law, and, it's just disgusting to me to see these people be protected. So Pixie Knickers says, "Oh, you have a blue vase like that? Well, cool. Um, yeah, it's got little air bubbles in it too, and I like that. Anyway, back to the topic. Um, getting off topic again. We'll know the topic of giveaways. Um, they look so much alike, nose, chin, and eyes. Very strange. Very cool. Yeah, everybody go check that out. Check out Harsh Shelley's channel. Sub to her if you haven't already. Sub to Mark Molina if you haven't already. Um, I will take $2. Better Off Dead movie. Pixie Knickers, I was trying not to see anything, but it just happened. Yeah, and then you can't unsee it, right? That is so wild. I hadn't ever really let it sink in, going back to the Moscow case, that the voices on that surveillance camera from outside, that doesn't sound like uh, Kaylee. Sorry, it's so hard. It doesn't sound like Kaylee to me. Um, It just doesn't. So I could be incorrect, but when I thought of it this morning, I thought, it almost sounds like the same person doing both scripts. never crossed my mind until this morning. I'm gonna listen to it some more, and then I'll have to slow it down and speed it up, and I mean, seriously, that's what detectives do. They listen to things again and again, they watch things again and again, they slow them down, they speed them up, and they harvest so much information by doing that, and then bouncing it off of colleagues like we are all doing it here, like the group think. It's always good to put, two heads are better than one, right? That's a really good movie if you haven't seen it. Two heads are better than one. How to get ahead in advertising. It's funny AF. Um, Yes, happenstance happened weird. Thank you for uploading them to your community page, Harsh One. Darkest Hearts Solace. Yeah. The soullessness is what you see with a character like that Jesus guy. I mean, absolutely like the darkest you can imagine. And then I think a lot of what we all see in Koberger is that he's weird. He's got really poor social skills. He's got a really creepy look on his face and look in his eye very much of the time. He's got a weird nose, and we can interpret that as, oh, he looks like a crazy serial unaliver when he very well might just be, to use other people's ideas that I've argued with them about, could be on the spectrum. And mostly, I've said this before, the only reason I really argued about it is because I don't think it's fair to people that are on the spectrum to align them with somebody who's committed crimes like that. And I'm not saying that he committed crimes like that, but I know so many people believe that he did. And then to say on the spectrum makes everybody on the spectrum look bad, in my opinion. So I've tried to be super, super cautious about that. But I seriously wonder if he just looks like a freak. He just looks like he could be somebody like that, but that he might not be somebody like that. Like, you seriously can't judge a book by its cover. We all know that. Um, and it's not so much somebody's features as how they animate their features. So if someone is being dark, that's what you see. If somebody is being light, that's what you see much of the time. And then sometimes people just are not good at, um, sometimes people are really good at hiding it. And then nobody sees it, and those people are probably some of the most dangerous. Um, so anyway, let's keep up with you guys. FBI could analyze the voices to the recording. And see, I've never heard anyone other than myself, who I'm like a broken record about it, that thinking that those voices were superimposed, spliced onto that surveillance footage. Um, I've never bought that. 'Cause you don't hear the traffic, do you? Like that white pickup truck that drives by them and parks? I don't think you hear the traffic. Maybe you do. I haven't listened to it in a long time, but I've always been suspicious of that white pickup truck that drives by them and parks, in the, like, slanty spot right behind where they just walked. Oh, goodness. Still learning, and I get nervous about posting things. I see it in random things, and thank you for the work of YouTube true crime. It's a lot more harder than people think, in my opinion. Well, a lot of what I feel like kind of broke me in for doing this is just being, I used to be on Facebook. I'm not anymore. But just the trolls. Like, you got to be ready for the trolls, because people will attack you just because that's what they do. Like, that's their hobby, is to attack people. And I think especially new content creators, like, they'll criticize your nose or something. I mean, seriously, like, they're just brutal, and you just have to, like, block them and not worry about them. They'll insult you, they'll tell you that you're stupid, and I think that if you get a whole bunch of them ganging up on you, which they do, I think that that can be because they are like an army of trolls that wolf pack is what Shan calls them, that are sent out onto the streets of YouTube to try to try to gaslight and try to get you off track. And, what better way to get you off track than to just like make fun of you and say, well, your glasses are stupid, or, what you're saying is stupid, or just something ridiculous. If you don't like what a content creator is saying, there's so many other content creators, like scroll and roll. Why are you wasting your time commenting? But so that's my point, harsh one, is that for anyone who's going to come out onto the streets of YouTube, you got to thicken your skin and not take it personal, and not let it guide how you're going to do your channel. I don't know if you've been dealing with that yet or not, but Mark, maybe you have, if you want to comment on it. Hollywood look for a bad guy. Got it. Right. Mark, you freaking clever. Yeah. Like, you know, um, what was his name? Chris. Oh, he would always play the creep. Um, like Steve Buscemi. That's another one. I can't think of the other guy's name. Steve Buscemi, you guys know who he is. He almost always plays the creep. He got his first big break in Fargo, and he played one of the hired hitmen, and he has made it big. He was in The Sopranos, and he's really unattractive by Hollywood standards. He's got horrible teeth, and he's always got greasy hair, and he's always unkempt looking, and he's in like every single like cartoon movie in the world practically. So that's when you know that you've really hit it big. Like if you get on The Simpsons, right? Um, but yeah, when you have that bad guy look, it doesn't always mean you're a bad guy. I mean, I would imagine that Steve Buscemi is probably a really nice person. But then, you take other Hollywood actors, and I don't want to name any because I don't want to offend their families, but there's some that are like really clean cut, like, they always look like the good guy, and they are rat bastards in real life. So, you take Carol O'Connor from Archie Bunker from All in the Family. He did that role of being a total jerk, and he looked the part, and that man was like sweet as pie. Um, BF went to Truckee High School for a year. Are you serious? Harsh one? I've never heard that. Holy, that's wild. That is super wild. I mean, I know she was from Reno, and it's really close to Truckee. That is so wild. So, wow. I'm gonna have to check that out. Pixie Knickers says, "Wow, Harshelly, seems like I remember hearing that. I've never heard that, Pixie Knickers. I'm not saying it's not true. I am fascinated. I've always wondered if she knew people from Reno, from the Truckee community. Like, Jagger hung out in Reno a lot. I think his mom or his dad lived there, I think. Um, and may still, I don't know. I thought his dad made him moved from Reno to Napa Valley, and that maybe his mom was still in the Truckee Reno area. I'm not sure. Um, that is so wild. I know BF is older than Kylie Rodney, but same area of WTAF, and weird things not normal, in my opinion. I don't know. BF has always felt connected to Truckee. Um, so yeah, they tried to say that Bethany and Dylan were 19. They didn't try to say it. They've said it. They've continued to say it. But my research shows that they are actually 22 now, that they were 21 when they were witnesses, not witnesses, and that they are 22 now. So, um, even if they were 19, they'd still be a little bit older than Kylie Rodney. But then, she was an early graduate, so they wouldn't be that much older. They would be the same age as Sammy, wouldn't they? If they were 19 last year? Sammy would have been 19 last year. Huh, interesting. Um, I agree about a possible BF Truckee connection. It feels very weird when listening to the Delphi documents when Patrick Westfall's name is spoken. It just makes me think of Jaegers. Yeah, that is wild. Crazy. No, I've not been attacked at all. SF did try to debunk me on Twitter at the beginning of Kylie. Oh, how did he try to debunk you on Twitter? Just when you were just like a in people's chats or on panels? Because you have your channel back then? So many strange coincidences, right? And from my favoriteest movie in the world, which is Zero Effect, there's no such thing as coincidence in Red Rum. No such thing. Pixie Knickers, thank you. And I stated because of Kylie Rodney, truth for Kylie, justice for Kylie, she grabbed my heart. This made me think of bipolar health, RIP Billy Miller from YNR age 44. Sad. I'm not sure what you're referencing there, Mark. But yeah, bipolar is very serious, a very serious condition to manage. Um, Ask Squirrels on Fire. It's out there, and I believe it was just a year that she went to Truckee High School, and yes, from Tahoe or Reno area. Wow. I will ask Shan for sure. She grabbed my heart too. I kept hearing about Kylie and felt so sad for her. I still do. What happened to her? She deserves justice. Yeah, she grabbed my heart right away. And I learned about her case like as it was hitting the streets of YouTube, and the basic national news. And those cases don't usually hit the streets of YouTube and national news like that. I mean, there's so much to her case that is questionable. Picture $2 gas. He messaged me on Twitter, said it was Kylie. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny that he was so determined and that he picked you out, Mark. Like, why are you so special? Actor passed with bipolar fight. He was a good actor and liked. Oh, I missed that. Was that just in the news today? Billy Miller. That is sad. Mark Molina, it's heartbreaking, and I've had a few trolls and bots, and I just block them and move on. I have tougher skin. I'm old school. Very good. Very good. Yeah, because I think that's one of the hardest things about doing your channel. I really do. And then for people switching gears from like not true crime into true crime, that's going to be different too. Because if you're doing, like a gardening channel, you're not going to be getting trolled probably. I mean, you still could. There could be gardening trolls. Actually, isn't that where trolls hang out? No, that's under bridges. That's gnomes that hang out in the garden and fairies, right? Let's see. Kylie was let down by everyone. So she grabbed me. I was gonna say after seeing just the first part, Kylie was let down by everyone. I was gonna say except me. Let's see. Much love, respect, prayers, and all for positive vibes. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. We're just about an hour and 10 minutes. Um, so thanks so much for being here. There was something else that I was wanting to say, but now I'm forgetting what it was, and I don't think I have it written down, but I will do what I so often do, which is look at my notes to see. Um, oh, yes. No scent by dogs in the Kylie Rodney. No scent by dogs in the Idaho 4, right? Um, and the cloud-based forensics, which is what Koberger specialized in school, right? In his academia. Um, I said this the other day, and I got it from another content creator. I think Cluminati is one that talked about it. That Koberger could have started following Madison after the crime, but the parents of Kaylee in the 48 Hours movie or documentary say that, they were looking him up before his name was public, and that they saw that he was not only following Madison, but he was liking a lot of her pictures. And I'm sorry, but I kind of have to make fun of it because that could look really incriminating. And if he's being set up by law enforcement, they could have done that. They could have made a profile of him and had him following her and liked a bunch of her pictures. I mean, you need to look at the dates of these things and you need to do that cloud-based forensics. So, of course, on face value, that could look bad. And even if he was following her, like Maddie, and liking her things, that still doesn't mean that he did it. That still could be just as innocent as anybody else following her and liking her stuff. I mean, the girl is freaking cuter than a bug's ear. How could anybody not like her photographs? Extremely photogenic. Um, so especially guys, of course, are going to like that. And I just think we need to go back to the freaking what do you call it? The back page thing. OnlyFans. It seems that there's so much to the OnlyFans and the sororities, and I've told you guys again and again that Google is who really confirmed that for me. And I'm going to put in the description a link to a Bubbly Waters video that she just did, I think, in the last day or two about it's much about, Emma and Demetrius, but a lot of it is about the, connection to the OnlyFans type of thing, and just the quota that sorority sisters may have had to make with these types of things. Um Hit that like button. Dog scent cause was Kelly at a fake party. I said Kelly. Was Kylie gone a few days before the party, which is why all the law enforcement was there. Very, very possible. And why did law enforcement notify Kylie's parents before they determined it was a dog grave? Oh, Mark, thank you so much for bringing that up. I meant to write that down to talk about in this video, and I don't think I even wrote it down. Yeah, and why did they talk about it in their press conference, like their news conference? Angela Mussolini or whatever her name is, she spoke about that. Like, why are they talking about these animal bones? Like, is it just a red herring? Is it just a distraction because they don't have anything real to say? Just like with the 16 non-human actual remains, that crazy word. What was it that they kept using in Maui? Distinct humans. The 16 distinct not humans. Like, why are you even telling us about that? Like, again, I think just filling airtime and trying to make it sound like, oh, look at how hard we're working. Like, they didn't need to tell us about that whole dog thing. That's ridiculous. And yeah, telling her parents about it is completely insane. And yes, please try and look at truth and factual information. That's another reason I don't post some things. Story time for us. So, yeah, I try to be very careful about what I post, and I try to, always phrase things that this is simply my opinion. Um, and one thing that I remember posting that I posted incorrectly, and I didn't go back and fix it because, like, Google is all incorrect about it as well, is the Caden Young, the unfortunate football player who passed away from the overdose that Demetrius and Emma were arrested for and then released, and then so far not recharged with connection to the substances that killed him and supplying those substances. So there's two Caden Youngs at there were two at that university that both played football. One was 21, and I think one was a freshman. So the one that was the junior was the one who passed away, and he was the one who worked for the newspaper and the Argonaut, and he used to be the president of one of the fraternities. Um, and they're two different guys, and they look very different. One is pretty fair skinned, and the other is very tawny skinned. Um, so if you Google and try to see which one is which, Google's got their wires all crossed. So never did get around to fixing it, but the people in my chat that were correcting me were actually correct that the one that I thought was him wasn't him. So unfortunate for that guy to be, mistaken identity, but, it is odd, like, Caden is not a very common first name. I've known a couple, but only a couple, so really odd that there would be 2 at the university at the same time and both on the football team. It's weird. That's wild. Um I've went down too many rabbit holes, and it's just scary in my opinion, but y'all know that. Well, and I think it's smart to be careful about the rabbit holes and, good to explore and to suspend your judgment or your belief until you know more. Because there's a lot of fake rabbit holes being put out by the gaslighters, and it's also easy just to make mistakes like that. Like the mistake I was saying I made with the 26 years given to Mia Zapata's unaliver. That it was 26 plus 10. I thought it was 26 including the 10. So it's easy to make mistakes. And on that, I'm going to say peace out. Have a really good afternoon. Thanks for being here, you guys. Much love, love and light. I think I forgot to say that when I was signing off this morning. I was in such a hurry. Make sure that you drink your water, eat your protein, eat your fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables. Um, and just take care of yourself. Be nice to yourself, be kind to other people, be easy on yourself, be easy on other people, and put your feet up, relax, get your rest, and just be yourself, right? Thanks again, you guys. I will see you soon. Take care.